Hello Horror Hounds. A recent conversation in the comments section with Camberwell Green, a regular visitor to the Horror House here and a most welcome one, inspired me to do a short series of videos, an occasional series about the films that scared me. I've already talked in the first video about Ring. Following on from that, I want to talk about a stone cold classic, Psycho. It's probably quite appropriate that I'm holding up the box set for Psycho 1 to 4 rather than just for the first film, because I'm really going to be talking about maybe the franchise that scared me. My relationship with the Psycho movies is not what one might expect. Yes, absolutely. The first time I saw Psycho, it scared me. In all the places it was supposed to scare me. But it wasn't until much later that Psycho terrified me. I've already talked a lot about the Psycho films in previous videos, and also Robert Bloch's books and sequel books, Psycho 2 and Psycho House. If you're at all interested in hearing me blether on any more after this about the Psycho franchise, I guess, I'll link to all my previous videos below. So I won't repeat here what I'll have said in previous videos about Psycho, about its sequels. What I'll do is try and explain how Psycho got in my head. I just got it into my head that I wanted to see all the Psycho movies again. I'm not even sure I'd seen all of them at that point. I perhaps hadn't seen 4 because it was a made-for-TV movie. I'm not sure about availability, but I went back, this is years ago, and revisited Psycho and watched all the films. There's a bit that really sticks with me from Psycho 4, the beginning. The seed that Psycho 4 planted in my brain was that Mrs. Bates was young when Norman killed her, and he continued his relationship with her by pretending to be her, by keeping both these personalities in one head. And she aged over those years, and he aged her, and the interactions they had, she became an old woman. And what really stuck with me was this idea of an evolving, intricate sickness in Norman's head. What I found extremely powerful and the most frightening of all is that, left alone in the house overlooking the motel with no one coming to bother him, his madness is allowed to flourish, evolve, become so intricate and complicated that there are 2 lives going on simultaneously in that house, in his head. A perfect bubble of insanity. And left alone, untouched by the outside world, he had achieved an equilibrium, a peace, a world that he could live in. Just a world that is alien to our sense of the real, the normal, the sane. It's only when people infect that little bubble reality that he's created that things start to go wrong. And this idea of little pockets of madness existing in the world, perfectly harmless until we accidentally invade those areas, cross those thresholds, and taint that perfect world, insane as it is, as alien as it is to us. We're the interlopers tainting it, and then we're in danger because of it. This idea of little bubbles and pockets of total insanity existing unobserved and invisible alongside our notion of what's normal and sane really it really got into my head, I'll be honest with you. And then going back and rewatching Psycho, it just reinforced all of that to the point where I went through a little confession time. I went through a little phase, uh, probably about 20 years, maybe more ago, where if I ever got back to the flat before my partner, I wouldn't go in on my own. I went through a brief phase where the idea of this infecting madness had so freaked me out that I got an image in my head of looking up at my own flat window and seeing Mother there. Now I know this sounds crazy, but this idea of infecting madness or sanity, or what we call sanity, infecting what we would call madness, and this cross-pollination where these two sort of worlds interact, that's where the horror happens. With no visitors, what happens in Norman's house and Norman's Head isn't horror. And it's not horror to us because we don't know about it. We're insulated from him and he's insulated from all of us. But when we interact, that sort of crossover in the Venn diagram of Norman's world and our world, that's where the horror happens. Psycho is clearly a masterfully put together movie. There's surely no question about that. Anthony Perkins' acting is superb. I mean, superlative. A performance as delicate and nuanced as that, to make you feel for the killer in the movie and feel sorry for the killer, and also kind of want them to win in a weird kind of way, to make you empathize with that kind of mania. Psycho's a meticulously put together scary movie. It's designed to scare you and it succeeds in scaring you. But just those ghost train mechanics and jumps and scares and building up of tension and releasing tension, all masterfully done, that did what it was supposed to do. I guess Anthony Perkins' performance, letting us get so close to Norman, meant that for a while, 20 years ago, I couldn't shake his madness from out of my head. And that was scary.